This is Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk. Here are your hosts, Dr. Tim Slecker and Dr. Johnny Lupinacci, educated educators talking education.
Hey, welcome to Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk, educated educators talking education. It's Monday. It's Homeroom. Special episode to start the week off. Love homerooms. Homerooms, Jess. Usually we have Tim with us. Tim doing some exciting work out there in the field.
Oh, yeah.
He'll update us later this week as we fold back into things with a homeroom without our beloved Tim running the ship. So I'm here at the helm with you, Jess. How are you this Monday?
Oh, Johnny, I'm doing great. It's mid-March. My goodness, actually, we're almost getting into late March. We are approaching the official start of spring. It's starting to warm up. I'm feeling a thaw inside of myself as well as enjoying the thaw outside and just really feeling ready to dive into education. How are you doing, Johnny?
I'm doing great. I still have a full belly from Pi Day last week. That's Math Teacher Nerd Day, 3.14.
One of the best days of the year.
Yes, I love Pi Day. So, it's almost as fun for me as May the 4th be with you. I always like that's coming up pretty soon too, as we talk about spring holidays in the nerd world. But Pi Day is especially near and dear to my heart. As a former math teacher, I think even though you can say formal,
you never really leave that behind.
You never really leave the love of math behind.
And certainly never love of pie.
Right. The two things come together in one day, and it's unreal. We always had big pie parties on Pi Day. I certainly overate pie.
Okay,
on Friday
really important question. What's your favorite kind of pie?
This is a hard one because I love pies so much that there are savory pies, there are sweet pies, there are many different pies.
Okay, top two pies, top savory and top sweet.
Absolutely, though, I can never pass up, as simple as it is, a really good apple or cherry pie. The two just they're my go-to when I don't know what, because I certainly have had amazing peach pies. I've had amazing, I've had berry pies that are out of this world. My mouth is watering. Yeah. But I generally go for a sweet pie rather than a savory pie. I love the filling, the sugary kind of fruit filling. That's it. Yeah. So if I have to just kind of go to, it's apple or cherry. And, I'm a sucker for a pie though. I don't think I've ever had one I didn't like.
Fair enough.
That's not even joking. I mean, maybe there's some awful pies out there. I haven't had them, but there's no pie that doesn't deserve at least a good slice. And when I talk about slicing a pie, Jess, on average, I think a full pie usually yields itself about 4 slices.
Oh, 4. Okay.
And so my friends tell me these are insane slice sizes. I say, hey, if you're gonna indulge in Pie Day, you got to have a quarter of a pie as a slice.
Oh, enjoy. I love that mentality. That's excellent. Talking about slicing up the pie, though. Shall we dive into some trending educational news?
We should, because we do have to update. It's a continuation from last week's news, but let's dive into it because, we got to stay on top of these things.
Absolutely. So let's start with an update from last week's Homeroom when we covered 8 attorneys general suing over grants that had been canceled for teacher training. Coming today from K-12 Dive, teacher training grants temporarily reinstated in 8 states. Millions of dollars in federal funding for teacher training were reinstated for now, with a federal judge's temporary blockage this week of a Trump administration directive. The U.S. Department of Education must restore the grants to the 8 Democratic-leaning states whose attorneys general sued the agency last week under the temporary restraining order granted March 10th by Judge Myung-Joon of the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts. The funds include awards through the Teacher Quality Partnership Program and the Supporting Effective Educator Development. The order is in effect for 14 days. The Coalition of Attorneys General next plans to seek a preliminary injunction to extend the blocks on the grant cuts until a final court decision is rendered. The judge's order to temporarily restore funding in these states, quote, is a victory for our students, teachers, and school districts, restoring funds to programs designed to address the ongoing teacher shortage, said Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Joy Campbell. The Education Department's February 17th announcement said the $600 million in cuts were made for, quote, divisive, end cut teacher training grants. Judge June's order cites the department's termination letter to grantees, which said it cut the grant programs because they, quote, for example, promote or take part in DEI initiatives or are not free from fraud, abuse, or duplication, or otherwise fail to serve the best interests of the United States, end quote. According to June, this justification, quote, does not reach the level of a reasoned explanation. Indeed, it amounts to no explanation at all.
Womp, womp, womp. No, this is a good update, Jess. I am absolutely proud of all of these, attorney generals and all of these folks who are filing lawsuits, and have achieved, at least a freeze that some of these grants are coming through. These are important programs. It is, again, I am just, flabbergasted. I guess I shouldn't be. We should know by now how this is wasting a tremendous amount of resources.
Right.
Something as simple as here's a really important program that's filling a need. It's an alternate pathway to great people in our communities becoming teachers. We need more teachers. We need more substitutes. We need more adults who want to be around children and part of their education to be part of that. We know that there's a shortage everywhere of people for this, whether you're in urban districts, suburban districts, rural districts across this country, we have a teacher shortage. So we have really great programs that utilize apprenticeship money, they utilize these federal grants that say, hey, let's make it not easier in terms of like the skills learned, but the pathway. Let's make it more accessible.
Let's take away some of the, in some cases, arbitrary barriers that are stopping really qualified people who have the capability, who have the intrinsic desire, and they're right for the job. They just can't quite get over these hurdles that have been placed in front of them by matters of situation.
Well, and it's absolutely infuriating because I'll boil it down to the fact that the current administration that's making these cuts, did some campaigning around the fact of lifting up the working class. Said they're going to address, the cost of living in the economy for the working people of this country. Well, here's a big problem that many of us in the working class have had career changes in our life. We've had to have, adapts and moves and changes that not only align with our skills, but help to provide good income for our families and for our communities. That's part of how being flexible in a democracy works. So those pathways to career changes are really important. Those are in our college systems, our community college systems, our trade schools, all of the trades. We have pathways into, say, if you are in construction and you want to maybe become a math teacher. That was my route, right? Plumbing and construction to math teacher. There was a pathway that wasn't exactly easy for a lot of my peers to make. I was young. I didn't have a family yet. I could enroll in college, right? Back then, I won't date myself, but college was still affordable to where you could have, a job most of the week and pay for your tuition. But it's not that way anymore. And so, like you said, Jess, there are careers that we need people in that we also have to think about a different way of them getting the education and qualification. So these are important economy boosters. These apprenticeship programs, these alternate pathways to different careers, they're no-brainers. So I'm glad that we have this response of like, hey, let's file these lawsuits that reinstate those grants that help keep those programs going. But what we're learning is that this administration is continuing to gut anything that strengthens our local economies as a country.
Goodness, yes.
Right? While saying it's going to do everything it can to boost it. So I hope more folks listen, and whether you're Democrat or Republican or undecided, we all come together on, hey, if things aren't good for our local economy, and something as common and bipartisan as education, if it's not supporting a strong public education system, which just also, right, we know is the pathway to careers and opportunities in our local community for young people.
Yeah.
So if we're not investing in that and we're divesting in public education,
What the hell are we doing?
weakening. Yeah, what exactly? So thankful for this, for these, lawsuits.
Mhm.
I bet, like Maggie Dawn, if you're a listener out there and you catch Maggie Dawn's show, she talks a lot about the legal dimensions to things. I would love to hear kind of her thoughts around the constant. I would imagine if you're a legal representative of human rights or public education or anything policy connected right now, that you got to be stressed out and overloaded because everything seems like there are so many important things in this world that we do. I'm not saying that these lawsuits aren't important, but there are so many like absolutely imminent, injustices happening all around us that legal folks are working on around the clock, that this use of we're like tying them up. They're highly skilled, important people in our community, and they're tied up responding constantly to these cuts. So I apologize, and I'm grateful for all you legal folks out there who are doing this work. And I apologize on our end, even though we're not the ones enacting it, that you're tied up doing this when there's really important work you should be doing, because this should be a no-brainer.
Right.
Right. This is like when my kids are fighting over who gets more pieces of candy, and there's still like 300 more pieces of candy in the cupboard. And so I'm like, we are wasting our energy and our time.
When dad cuts the pieces so big.
Yeah, I'm cutting 4 slices. All right. Everybody's getting a slice, and we'll get more pie because it was pie day. All right. So all right, let's move on. What else is happening? Sorry, Jess, I got off on one there.
Oh, no worries. Well, as we've seen, there's been some success for education coming from these lawsuits. And I do want to make one final note on this. The funding is only coming back to those 8 states whose attorneys general sued. So that still means 52 or 42 states, I can do math, are going to be without funding.
Oh, Jess, I hate this. It's like I'm going to take it back and make you ask me for it.
Right.
It's just one of those age-old mantrams. It's like, again, to my candy metaphor, if it's like, well, my kids were, dividing up the candy and I went and took it from them. And I shouldn't even say candy, because that's like a want, not a need. I should actually say like their food.
Right.
But I won't go that extreme. I'm taking them back their candy, and I'm like, if you want candy, you got to ask me for your candy. You're going to have to sue me.
You got to plead for it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's a power move. It's a control move. I couldn't
exactly
think more toxically masculine than that right now, but I'll leave it at that. Let's get moving.
Let's move on. Another lawsuit. This one's coming from The Guardian. Democratic attorneys general sue, again, over Trump gutting of education department. A group of Democratic attorneys general filed a lawsuit last Thursday to block significant cuts to the Department of Education made by the Trump administration this past week. Led by New York Attorney General Letitia James, the coalition of more than 20 states filed suit in federal court after the agency cut about half of its workforce. More than 1,300 employees were laid off in a single day, the latest move toward Donald Trump's goal of dismantling the department entirely. The lawsuit alleges the cuts to the department have, quote, devastating effects, end quotes, on the states, which receive anywhere from millions to billions of dollars from the federal education department annually, James said in a press conference. The cuts will hurt students, including those with special needs and those from low-income households. Cuts to the Office of Civil Rights will harm students who have experienced discrimination or sexual assault. The reductions in staff will also make financial aid processing more difficult, affecting students who use federal grants, loans, or work-study programs. Quote, this outrageous effort to leave students behind and deprive them of a quality education is reckless and illegal, end quote, James said in a statement. The lawsuit cites the appearance of the Education Secretary, Linda McMahon, on Fox News, where she said the president's directive to her was to shut down the department, and the cuts were, quote, the first steps of eliminating what I think is bureaucratic bloat, end quote.
Oh, Jess, I know listeners out there can relate to this because it's happening in nearly every industry. And so I'm not saying it's entirely new. It's exacerbated by the Trump administration and these moves in regards to education, but it's happening in almost every industry, including education, where we're just using any opportunity to try and do more with less. And I know in some contexts that means like, hey, let's think really innovatively about how we use our resources more responsibly. I love
Mhm.
that kind of discussion.
Oh, for
But
sure.
this is what I'm referring to is more of like an austerity kind of measure where we're like, oh no, we need to tighten things up, increase efficiency. That's actually one of the big terms we want to, yeah, Department of Efficiency stuff,
Big
government
quotes around
efficiency.
that.
Yeah. But I mean, folks listening that aren't necessarily in education can relate. I think it's across the board right now. We've been, you know, after COVID, throughout, like I'm not even just going to blame COVID. We're in an era of really trying to pinch pennies to
Mhm.
increase profits for the people at the top.
Right.
And
It's
I'm
not
not
to
like,
increase
yeah,
profits for we the people, for
no.
us. It's all going up.
Yeah. And so this to me is that's now that model, that move, that trend is being applied in a government context. And we've seen it, like talk to a nurse, talk to a
Mhm.
doctor in public health right now. They're experiencing this for, a little over a decade or more now in hospitals. And they're saying like, this is not a good model for like a healthcare in a developed nation as such as the
Mhm.
United States. We are seeing, some of the worst conditions for our work ever. And we cannot do more with less. And in fact, when you cut back essential roles in the hospital and then put them on people, we get spread thin. And that's happening in education, that's happening in healthcare. I mean, have you noticed, folks? We've all noticed it. It's happened in, going to the store. There's less people there stocking shelves. There's less people working to help kind of fill out hours. Some places have changed their hours, they've closed. There's all kinds of change in labor in this country that are due to these kinds of cuts. And this is similar. I think it's a terrible move. I think everybody watching knows it's a terrible move. But again, and I hate to keep leaning on the legal people, it seems to be our only course of action in this, but it ought to be illegal because if it's not illegal, then what's to say we don't just cut essential things everywhere?
Mhm.
And this is about as close to that as you can get when you cut back on public health and public education. You're telling the country that you're turning this into a free for all.
Well,
And
right.
I do worry about that.
And what about these arguments coming from the Department of Education administration, which is now the Trump administration, saying these cuts won't affect essential services. The quality of service that has been provided will not decrease. And yet the workforce is cut in half. Any possible way for that to happen, Dr. Johnny Lupinacci?
No.
Right.
I mean, it's just this is like going back to Pi Day. This is bad math. We can't do this like what if I just say, okay, here's our pie for today. We're
Mhm.
going to celebrate as a class with this Pi Day. Now I like to cut my pie into 4 slices.
Mhm.
Right? But let's say we have 2 pies for a class of 25. We're going to figure out the math. We're going to do it. And then I'm going to say, actually, though, I'm going to take half the pie.
But that's not going to decrease the amount of pie that you each get. I think you're going to get some very
Yeah.
angry students. Or even,
Yeah.
let's
They're going to
say,
get less pie.
you get half as much dough to make your pie, but it won't decrease the quality of the pie.
Yeah.
I think someone's going to
It's
call
bad.
BS.
I mean, it's a bad model. Fine. Have it for business. I always say this, like even though I'm like tangent to an expertise in economics and economy, stuff like the political economy, mostly, I'm not even going to flex that aspect of my research and background. I'm just going to say stay in my lane
Mhm.
as an educated educator. I think it's a bad idea to apply free market economics to public education. That's
Yeah.
as simple a statement as I can get it. And I can get in great conversations about what I think free market economics does to, economies. But I'll just let it be for now. I mean, it trickles in. Just keep it out of public health and public education, please. Let our governments be bipartisan democracies, representative of multiple people to have essential human rights upheld in our communities, those being, access to food, water, shelter, space, public health, public education. I know I want to keep it simpler than it is, but sometimes I just got to say it simply. This is stuff that's not just an act to dismantle a government office. It's an act to really hurt and harm family, children, and communities. Those of many of which we've said all the past couple of weeks on the show are the working people of this country. We are the government. So these are acts to harm. They're acts of self-harm. Mm-hmm. And so we need to really figure out how to do things differently.
And now for your moment of Zen. Politics is pointless if it does nothing to enhance the beauty of our lives.
Hey, thanks for listening to Busted Pencil's Homeroom podcast today. And remember to grab great other podcasts filled with more Busted Pencils content on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course on the Civic Media website. Follow, like, review, rate. You do you. Hey, and don't miss this week's class in session on Wednesday, and find our 3 throws and face-offs on Friday. And of course, you can always catch Busted Pencil on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Central Time across all the Civic Media Network stations for an hour of your favorite blue-collar scholars, Tim and Johnny. And keep busting pencils.